All right, everyone. Thank you all for joining. We will start the webinar now. On that note, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank everyone once again for joining us for today's webinar. And I'm looking forward to a wonderful session with all of you. So before we dive into the topics, I would like to talk a little bit about our company. So Web was initially known as Wipro Peripherals, which was part of Wipro itself. In 2000, it became an independent entity. So we have multiple businesses, one of them being Web Retail Business Unit, wherein we manufacture billing machines for retail stores. And we have about 2 lakh customers pan-India. And on the corporate side, we have Web Managed Printing Services, where we provide printing services for 600 plus odd customers. So the business here is such that we deal with printing hardware based on requirement, and you would be charged per print. So that's how it works. And this is what we do with managed printing services, and we are number one in India on that part. And then we have Web Power Solutions, which is a different company called Elnova. And finally, we have Web Digital Services, and that's the company that I represent. And we are in existence from 2017. So at Web Digital, we provide 2 products or services. First one, which is the document management system. The first one being the document management system. Here we offer tailored custom solutions to facilitate smart content collaboration, business process automation, and remote working for enterprises. And this in order to simplify their businesses. And the second product being related to GST, which is what we're going to be talking about today. We in fact hold the license called GSP, that is GST Suvidha Provider from the government. And we were appointed by the GSTN itself. So we provide a host of features such as managed GSTR filing, GST billing, reconciliation, data preparation and validation, e-way bill automation, ERP integration, and e-invoicing. So we will be talking further into this in today's session. And we have a host of large enterprise customers from various industry verticals, such as manufacturing, FMCG, pharma, automotive, IT, etc., etc. So that will be the introduction from my side. Once again, thank you all for joining. So our speaker for today's session will be Miss Deepa, who is a chartered accountant by profession. She handles finance and GST managed filing services. So she'll be driving the webinar today. We are so glad to have you here today, ma'am. So you can take it forward.
Thank you, Siddharth, for a brief introduction. Happy afternoon to everyone. I hope all of you are safe and fine. I believe all of us are going through once in a lifetime experience, which was so unanticipated. So nobody was expecting like we would be spending time like this. So all because of one reason, as everybody is aware, it's nothing but outbreak of coronavirus. Yeah, thanks, Siddharth. Yeah, we have received a lot of confirmation that I am audible. I think we can proceed further now. So before I start, I would like to give you a glimpse of roadmap of today's session. So the entire session is broken into 4 segments. So firstly, I will be talking about the GST relief measures. Secondly, it will be about the threats and opportunities faced by the business entities. The third segment, it's going to cover the new product idea that we are going to launch. It is a compliance management tool. And lastly, we are going to take up the Q&A session. In that, we will be taking up all the questions of our audience. During the session, whatever questions you are getting, you can just type it in the chat box. We will be making a note of it, and it would be answered at the end of the session. So you all can keep your questions reserved till the end. You can type it in the chat box, so it will be answered at the end of the session. I have shared my screen. I hope everybody can see the PPT. So looking into the relief measures, as all of us know, due to COVID-19 outbreak, there was a lot of disruption in the routine lives of everyone, including the institutional setups and the organizational setup. the business entities face a lot of difficulties in facing the GST compliances, which every one of us know. There are monthly compliances that one need to take care in order to be compliant with the acts and the provisions of the act. One has to comply with monthly compliances. In order to enable them to tackle this tough situation, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, that is the department for GST, they have come up with relief measures in order to enable the taxpayers to comply the provisions of the act. The whatever filings were done on the monthly basis, which people were facing difficulties in filing the returns as there was a lot of restrictions imposed during the time of COVID-19. A lot of relief measures were announced. When we think of relief measures announced by the ministry, we can see there were a lot of press conferences happening, multiple relief measures were announced, but today we are going to dealing with only relief measures which were announced in tackling the situations which were faced in GST compliances. As we could see, there were many relief measures announced by RBI and the ministry with respect to MSME. So many measures were taken in order to help the entities to cope up with the situation. But today we are going to focus only on the GST compliance aspect, wherein the relief measures were provided. When I think of relief measures provided, we can categorize it into 3 different buckets. So one was the simplification of the process, the regular procedure which one used to follow at the time of COVID-19, which was a tough time for everyone. It was difficult to follow the same procedure. So there were some simplification in the process of filing which was carried out. The second set of relief measures were basically with respect to the cash impacts that was having a financial impact. The third set of measures were in terms of the extension of the due dates. As there were a lot of restrictions on movement of people or the lack of resources and infrastructure, taxpayers were unable to file the returns in time. In order to help them file the returns at an extended time, the government has provided the extension of the due dates. So let us see one by one these 3 set of relief measures provided by GST. The first set of measures I was talking, it was simplification of the process. As one can see earlier, only other than corporate entities had the facility to file their GSTR 3B through EVC, that is electronic verification code. Like a person whose number has been registered in the GST portal, they used to get the OTP. Based on keying in the OTP, one was able to submit their GSTR 3B return. But the companies were always mandated to use the digital signature certificate. That relaxation was given by GST, saying that a corporate entity can also file their GSTR 3B during this tough times through EVC, electronic verification code. So that facility is made available to the entities during a limited period of time. Once this COVID-19 situation, we will be out of this situation, again, the companies have to get back to their own situation. This facility is available up to 30th June. The second relief was some of the small entities have already, due to the COVID-19 situation, they have shut down their operations for almost 1.5 to 2 months. During those periods, they were not having any transaction. They were not having anything to be reported in the return. So basically, it was a nil return that they were supposed to file. That's why they have given a facility to file the nil return, GSTR 3B nil return through short messaging service. That is nothing but an SMS. Just by the click of an SMS, one was able to file the nil GSTR 3B return. So this facility was also given by the GST. The next important notification which came in this regard was, earlier, whenever any person used to credit their cash amount in the wrong tax ledger, they were not having the facility to interchange the or inter-transfer the balance from one cash ledger to the another. So that was facilitated through a notification which was dated 28th April, the notification number 37. They have released a form GST PMT 09 through which one can transfer the cash ledger balance from one head to the other head, whether it is major head or the minor head. One would be able to transfer the cash ledger balance from one head to the other. So this was another facility which was given by the GST. So this is all about the simplification of the process. The second set of relief measures, as I was talking about, it is something which is going to have a financial impact on the entities because it used to directly affect the cash flows of the entities. So everybody was aware that there was a 10% ITC rule which was brought in, according to which any entity can claim an ITC to the extent of matched invoices appearing in their GSTR 2A, and beyond that they can claim additional of 10% over and above that. So that was the rule which was brought in, which was imposing a huge restrictions on the companies from claiming the ITC, though they were having document in possession, invoice, they were receiving the goods, all those were there, but they were unable to claim the ITC because the counterparties were not uploading the invoices. So after October month, it was rolled out. This rule has been constantly followed by even the taxpayers. But during these tough times wherein one is not able to file even the return, it was not appropriate to continue the same rule. In order to give this relief, they have said that up to month of August, that is filing period of August, one can continue claiming the ITC on any reasonable basis. And this 10% rule has to be cumulatively applied and it has to be complied in the month of September month 2020. Means in the month of February, March, April, July and August. In these months, you can claim ITC if you want as per your books of accounts, or if any entity prefers still to stick on to the same rule of 10%, they can still go on with it. But cumulatively, when it comes to the month of September, all those adjustments, if at all you have claimed excess or lower in any month, those adjustments have to be made in the month of September, and ultimately you have to comply the 10% rule, cumulatively combining all these periods together, and those adjustments can be carried out in the GSTR 3B for the month of September. So this facility will definitely help the business entities because they can claim the ITC as per their books if they want. And subsequently, if everything is fine, so they can go on with the same thing, or if they have claimed excess or shortage in compliance with the 10% rule, then they can adjust the same in September month return, or they can follow up with their vendors, get the invoices uploaded and comply with the provision at the end of the day. So this was the relief given, which would definitely help in managing the cash flows. Because otherwise, if everybody has to pay the entire cash tax liability by cash, it would definitely create a cash crunch in the entity. So that was taken care. And the next set of notification was spoken of the late fee and penalty waiver. So if any entity is going to do a delayed filing of GSTR 1, but the waiver was a conditional waiver, means though they are going to do a delayed filing, that filing should be completed on or before 30th June. If the entity is going to comply with that condition, there is no late fee or penalty implications on the taxpayer. So this was the relief given according to the notification. Moving on. So the next set of notification, what we can see is how they have deferred the compliance of GSTR 3B return filing for the entities, different set of entities based on the turnover criteria of the preceding financial year. They have set the due dates. So based on that, if one is going to comply, there won't be any late fee or penalty implication. But for the larger entities, they are going to have an interest implication. If they are going to do a delayed filing beyond a prescribed time, they are going to have an interest implication. As one can see in the table, any entity having turnover of more than 5 crores in the preceding financial year, if the filing period is February to April, up to 15 days of delay in filing, that is accepted. So there is no interest applicable. If the delay is up to a period of 15 days from the due date, still there is no implication of rate of interest. If it is beyond 15 days, the 3B is filed beyond 15 days, then there is an interest implication of 9% per annum. So this is a reduced rate of tax. Earlier it used to be 18%. So the 18% has been reduced to 9%. So any entity which has delayed the 3B filing, if it still complies within the delay of 15 days, there won't be any implication, interest implication. Further, if it delays, there is an implication of reduced rate of interest, that is 9% per annum. And moving on, for the entities having turnover between 1.5 crore to 5 crore, if it is the month of February to March filing, if the GSTR 3B is filed by 29th June 2020, there is no interest implication. And for the month of April, if it is filed by 30th June, there is no interest implication. So one might question, what if they file beyond these dates? So then this reduced rate of taxes, rate of interest won't be applicable. Directly, the regular rate of interest will be applicable. So it will be 18%, not 9%, because this facilities has been given to help one comply with the provision within a prescribed time. So the condition still holds good. If one is going to go beyond the due date prescribed by the GSTN, then they need to pay 18% interest. So we have seen for the entities between 1.5 crore to 5 crore, so they have to comply all their returns from February to April. It should be within on or before 30th June, then there won't be any rate of interest implication. So if any entity is having turnover less than 1.5 crore, then they will be able, they can file their GSTR 3B on or before 30th June. And for March month, they can file it on or before 3rd of July. And for the month of April, they can file their GSTR 3B by 6th of July. So then there won't be any interest implication. One might be thinking like, so up to 1.5 crore, they might have opted for composition. So there are entities, though they are having less than turnover of 1.5 crore, they would have opted for regular registration. These timelines are for those entities who have opted for the regular registration. So if they follow these deadlines and if they file on or before these dates, there won't be any interest implication for those entities. If one files the return beyond this deadline, then there will be an interest implication as it is as per the Act, that will be 18%. So now let us see the extension granted in form of deferring the deadlines. So especially for the Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, as it was newly created Union territory, due to certain infrastructural issue and the administrational issue. So they are still giving different deadlines as in comparison with other states. Different due dates are set for the Jammu and Kashmir and Union territory of Ladakh. As one can see, GSTR 3B filing period, this is especially pertaining to the like older periods that they are giving the deadlines. These notification was actually brought into effect from retrospective effect. Actually 24th March was already over. After that, this notification was released, but this notice will have effect from the older dates. So that is how one can see, like there it has been prescribing filing period due dates for November month to February 2020, that is 24th March. November 2019 to December 2019 for Ladakh Union Territory, the due date was 24th March. And from Jan 2020 to March 2020 for Union Territory of Ladakh, the due date for filing GSTR 3B is May 20th. So along with this GSTR 1 and 3B due date extension, there were many other compliances or aspects for which they have extended the due dates, as one can see here. Due date to opt for composition scheme for financial year 2020. As in the beginning of April only, this down everything has happened. The people who were trying to opt for the composition scheme, even they were unable to comply with this by filing an intimation under GST CMP 02. That intimation, for filing that intimation, one is given a time up to 30th June. And once they opt from regular scheme to the composition scheme, they need to file under 36(4) rule. They need to give the list of the stock which are lying with them in order to reverse the credit ITC which they have taken. So for that, one needs to file GST ITC 03. For that, the due date has been set as 31st July. If any person is opting for the composition scheme, they can have the option to go for it up to 30th June. They can go for opting composition scheme up to 30th June. And for filing GST ITC 03, the due date is 31st July. And next we can see GST CMP 08 for quarter ending March. So composition scheme people, they were about to file their return for quarter ending on March. The due date was there, but as they couldn't file the return in the prescribed time limit, they have extended even that return filing due date to 7th of July. And GSTR 4 for financial year 1920 is 15th of July. As composition scheme holders were filing their return for 1920, that has been extended up to 15th of July 2020. And with respect to GSTR 3B for the May month, it is based on again the threshold of the turnovers of the entities. Entities with turnover exceeding 5 crore in preceding financial year, for them the due date is 27th June. And entities with turnover up to 5 crores, means the smaller entities, I would say, for them it will be 12th of July and 14th of July. As one is aware, certain states, state-wise segregation has been done to allow the staggered manner filing of GSTR 3B. So based on that, 12th of July and 14th of July has been decided. And there were many e-way bills generated during this time, but they were supposed to expire during the lockdown period, wherein the movement of goods were also under restriction. In order to enable them use the same document in the period wherein they are going to use it during the movement of the goods, they have extended the validity of the e-way bills up to 31st May 2020. So any e-way bill generated during post-lockdown, that will still hold good. If it is going to expire during the lockdown period, it will still be valid up to the date of 31st May. So that was how this extension was granted. And most importantly, annual return. As everybody knew earlier, in the month of March itself, they have released one notification saying that the due date of annual return for 18-19 will be extended up to 30th June. And subsequently, realizing the seriousness of the scenario, so they have changed the due date for filing the annual return of 18-19. It is now extended up to 30th September. So 30th September is the due date for filing the annual return for 18-19. So there we complete the GST relief measures.
Yeah, Deepa, I'd like to intervene. Something a little off topic. Let's put up a poll for all the participants here. Since all of us are working from home, I think we can put up a poll right now so that we can ask the participants to answer. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, Siddharth.
Okay, just give me a minute.
Also here, I would like to mention, even this webinar is being hosted from our home. So all of us are working from home. I hope all of you are going through the same scenario. So now a question will be popping up in your screens.
Yeah, so
you all can answer.
Yeah, Deepa, you can go ahead.
We have put a question: has work from home been effective, efficient, and productive for you?
Yeah, so I see already people are already answering. We'll give them a minute of time so that all of them can complete.
Yeah.
So I believe we can take this up towards the end, Shivangi. We have noted down your question. We will take it up towards the end, if that's okay with you. Okay, thank you, Shivangi. So I'm just going to share the results on work from home as anticipated. Okay, so we see that most of them have put a yes for being effective, and I too truly agree to that. Since we're able to get work done from home itself quite a lot. So looks like it is the same for most of them.
Siddharth, shall we take up the second question too, which was related to GST compliance?
You mean Shivangi's question?
Not that one. A poll question.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll bring up the next question now. Okay, so we have another polling question over here. I'm going to launch it now. All right. So do you think the GST relief measures helped entities to smoothly carry out compliances? Okay, so I've shared the results. Deepa, I think you can talk further on this if you'd like to.
Yeah, Siddharth. Mostly I can see majority is saying yes, and some are also disagreeing with that it's no.
Absolutely.
So maybe in terms of like whether it was sufficient, there might be a dispute. Maybe that's why some people are saying it's no.
Correct. So I will end this poll now, and you can go further with your presentation. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving ahead, here I'm going to discuss a few steps taken under Customs Act because it's more of like an associated act now to GST because some of the aspects are interlinked. So that's the reason why I would like to touch upon a few of the points wherein the measures taken by even Customs, it was commendable. So first of all, the very first thing which was done after this lockdown or the COVID-19 outbreak was even the customs was brought under the essentials activity. As we were all aware, like only essential activities were allowed. So others were restricted. So in order to facilitate a smoother operations, even customs activities were brought under the essential services. So that is how even they were able to help in the entire system to sail through these tough situations. So as one can see, like during these times, the most important thing which everybody was requiring was the healthcare facilities like ventilators, personal protection equipment, COVID-19 testing kits. So most of these were imported from other countries. So they have to go through these custom checks. So that's why there was exemption for all these products granted under customs. So, and it was facilitated that all these goods gets cleared in a shorter span of time so that it will reach the required patients in a shorter time span. So this was the thing done by the customs. And next important point, which most of the export oriented units will be facing, there will be generally inconsistencies in their export reported invoices in GSTR 1 and in 3B or at the custom clearances. There might be some inconsistencies due to which while they are filing their refund claims, they will be facing this error, SB 005 error. So the government has thought of giving a facility to the taxpayers so that they can rectify this error, but it is only up to the limited period of time, that is 31st December 2019. Any document dated up to 31st December 2019, if one is facing any such kind of issue with respect to inconsistencies in the invoice reported in GSTR 1, 3B and whatever in the IceGate website, so that can be rectified to an extent so that their refund processing becomes easier. So that was another step taken. And with respect to these assessments, audits, wherein there was more of personal interaction with the proper officer of the respective departments in order to ensure that there will be social distancing and safety and health concerns taken care. Video conferencing was allowed, permitted. The proper officers can conduct the video conferencing through which they can gather the relevant information for conducting their assessments or the audits. So this facility was also given. And as everybody is aware, during the press conference itself, it was announced that a refund and drawback disposal drive was held like a campaign program so that the refund will be processed and disbursed to the respective taxpayer in a faster manner so that they ensure the liquidity of the business so that they can have the sufficient cash so that they can run their operations for some more time. In order to enable that, a special refund and duty drawback disposal drive was also started. And the customs has started working 24/7 to clear the goods lying in the customs premises. So 24/7 custom clearance has also been started. And in order to help the export-import trade related issue resolution, they have set up an help desk for EXIM trade. So that is a new step that they have taken up. And initially on pilot test basis, in 2 ports, Chennai port and the Mumbai port. Initially, there was automated clearance launched, and looking at the success and the benefits of that process, now the department has taken an initiation that this automated clearance system will be launched in all India basis. At all the ports and the airports, they are going to launch the automated clearance. And the next step, what they have taken is, during the lockdown period, the availability of stamp paper, all these were really very difficult, owing to which they were unable to submit the bonds related to customs. One has to submit the LUT or the bonds, so which was very difficult at that time. So they have enabled the taxpayers that they can submit, instead of bonds, they can submit the documentation on the plain paper. So that facility was also made available to the taxpayers. It was also done that on case basis, even the demurrage charges have been waived off. And in case of goods which were liable to preferential rate of tax, one was always asked to submit the certificates of origin. So that requirement has also been relaxed by saying that whatever certificates of origin they had, which was valid for financial year 1920, that can be still used until this lockdown gets lifted and the operation get back to normal. They can still use the old financial year related certificates of origin, which will be still considered valid during the clearances which happens during the financial year 2021 as well. So that benefit was also given to the taxpayers. And with increasing digitization, so they are also launching the paperless customs electronic communication, wherein there used to be more of physical submission of the copies, and there used to be, like, it was difficult to manage the social distancing and all. That was taken care by introducing this PDF based gate pass, overseas copy of bills, all these innovative and in the interest of the health and safety of the taxpayers. These new implementations have been done under the customs. It's really commendable that customs have taken initiation to do all these steps in concern of the taxpayers. So this is all about the relief measures taken under customs and the GST Act in order to enable the taxpayers to tackle the challenges which they are facing during these tough times. So now here we end the first segment of discussion, that is GST and customs related discussion. Next, I'm moving on to the threats and opportunities that the business entities are facing during this COVID-19 outbreak. So moving on to the second segment, here we are discussing like threats and opportunities. So not specific to any entity or any segment. In general, we are going to see what are the threats and opportunities that we are facing during and post lockdown. So what is like we are witnessing in and around us. So looking into the sector-wise division, if we see the most or the worst affected industries, if we could see, that is the travel industry, passenger transportation, whether it is Ola, Uber, Auto, or the public transportations. So all these are worst affected. Even the hotel industry, hospitality, that is tourism. So manufacturing entities, like basically the durable products, and the MSMEs, event management, beauty products and cosmetics. So these are the different industries which are like worst affected with the COVID-19. And after this COVID-19, we could also see that there is a shift of labor force from one place to the other. Like basically the physical laborers who have migrated in search of opportunities, job opportunities, they are shifting back to their native places, due to which post-lockdown, if the entities start to resume their operations, they might feel difficulty in getting the labor force as well. So that could be witnessed in a few industries, because not every industry is based on the physical labor. The industries which are more labor intensive, they might feel difficulty, like construction industries, textile industries. These industries might be facing the labor shortages when they start back their operations. And also we are seeing that due to the entities facing tough times, we could hear that employees are being laid off and they are removed from their jobs. So all these are, we are able to see during these times. And also the unemployment may also be caused due to people finding now the alternate solutions, which are more like automated processes or technology driven solutions. Once they start using these kind of solutions, there might be unemployment problem increasing day by day. That is another threat that one could see. And there is, people are not spending money in a fear that their income is reducing. Based on that, they have stopped spending more, due to which there is a demand reduction in the demand, and in turn it is leading to the reduced level of activity. So all these are causing the problem of reduction in the demand, and in turn it will also lead to the reduction of the level of activities of the entities. And another problem which every entity is facing is, in order to run their operations, they need funds. So that funds is now, it's not available. And even if the funds are available, like in our balance sheet, we are showing the funds, but there might not be liquidity to meet the operating expenses. So these kind of critical questions every entity is facing. So unless any entity is able to manage the liquidity aspect, they won't be able to survival through the situation. So that is another threat that which every entity is facing. And startups, basically they need huge funding, startups. So startups are also facing this fund crunch. And moving on to the like personality aspects, we could see that due to work from home or a change in the work life culture, the people are facing many mental problems, or there is certain social and behavioral changes which is happening. So there might be some sociological changes, there might be some behavioral changes, there might be some psychological issues which people might face. So all these will affect their productivity, which will impact their morale as well. And investment market, people used to save and they used to invest due to their tax plannings and all. They used to do a lot of investments in like whether it is NPS, life insurance. So in all those things they used to invest. As people are now facing the shortage of income, now they might not start investing on the market shares or securities. So due to which even the entities might face like shortage of equity or the debt as well. So in both the aspects, the entities won't be able to gain the funding which they require for carrying out their existing projects or the upcoming projects or the new projects which they are planning to start. So all these will be the threats. And lease and renting business, as people, the business entities have started doing the cost control, as they are facilitating all the infrastructure for working from home, they might start reducing the premises usage. In that aspect also, if we consider, the lease or renting business might also fall down. So these are all the threats which any entity would be facing. Moving on now, we would look into the opportunities aspects. We are not doing a complete SWOT analysis. I'm just taking a general perspective of what could be the threats and what could be the opportunities. Because strengths and weaknesses, it is more of entity specific. So opportunities, if we look into the digitization, as everybody is expecting the digital India, India is striding into that era now, digitization. So whatever possible sectors, all essential sectors, even the other sectors, wherever digitization is possible, people would be looking forward to have the digitization. Even in the field of education, now we could see revolutionary changes, like instead of live classes, there will be more of online education. Coaching academies, even the schools, they will be looking for development of apps or any tool, online tools, which could facilitate their teachers to reach out to their children and teach. So this is going to be the future. Online education is going to be seen more in the future, coming future. And agriculture related and associated activities. As I was seeing one of the articles, a company called Ergo. So they are into the business which is somewhat related to the agriculture. And during this lockdown period, they could do a very good business. So though many of the industries are sinking into so much of losses, some of the companies who are innovative and grabbing the opportunities during these tough times, even they are able to perform better. So like they are doing good with respect to agriculture and associated activities also. One can look for the opportunities. And digital marketing, in comparison with personal selling, now people are going to look more for the digital marketing, so which seems to be more effective. If it is like digital marketing is strong and effective, one would be able to induce the customer and bring them to the market by attracting them. And logistics, so most of the people henceforth will be looking for everything made available at their doorstep. So in order to facilitate the home deliveries and everything, logistics is the main backbone. So logistics business is going to grow in the future. And hygiene related products, as everybody knows that mask, sanitizer, these have become now part and parcel of our lives. So this industry is also going to grow, all hygiene related products. Media and entertainment, as people are staying more at home now, so they are into the media, entertainment, social media platforms. They will be spending more of the time in these aspects. So if any industry is working on these aspects, even they could get benefit out of these situations. Non-perishable food items, even food industry is seeing a huge growth during this lockdown period. So perishable food items is one of the area that one can focus. And online marketing of FMCG products, if provided at the doorstep, like online marketing, so even that will have a greater opportunities in the upcoming future times. So we have seen the threats and opportunities. What probably that one can do? This is just a illustrative list. Many people will have their own relief measures or their plans and strategies in order to tackle with these tough times. This is just a few things that one can keep in mind so that they can implement and get the benefit out of it. Rethinking of the operating plans and strategies, because every entity will have their own plans and strategies, but pre-lockdown and post-lockdown situation is not one and the same. As everybody is aware, there is a drastic change which has happened, due to which one has to definitely align their plans in according to the requirement of the current situation. So one has to think about the operating plans as well as the strategies, which is medium-term strategies. So second thing is, every entity will definitely set up targets and goals for each and every department of theirs. So that targets and goals have to be reset. They have to review the targets and again they have to reset it so that it is practically possible for the employees to achieve that. So that is the second thing. And every entity has to maintain transparency and maintain the effective communication with customers, business partners, employees. So this effective communication will help them convey what is the practical situation to everyone. For example, if I am a supplier, I am having a client who is unable to pay me in time, who was earlier paying me in time. So if he communicates the thing properly, saying that during this tough times I am unable to pay, I will be paying in a few days, then definitely I will be able to understand, because that transparency allows me to get into his shoes and understand, yeah, this is a situation which everybody is facing, and then it will definitely help everyone to come out of the problem. So transparency is a thing which is a must for everyone, and the effective communication of the situation as and when the situation demands. So that is another thing that everybody has to keep in mind. And strong and effective marketing, as I have already told, people will start saving more of money. They won't be spending much, due to which the marketing needs to be so strong and effective, that too in a cost controlled manner. They have to spend on marketing, but not that they can spend lavishly. They have to in a controlled manner. They have to spend the amount in effective marketing to make the buyer come to the market and buy. They need to induce the customer to buy the product. So the marketing should be very effective. And every business entity, if they are having multiple segments which they are dealing with, they have to do a cost benefit analysis. What cost they are spending on that unit and what is the benefit which they are deriving out of that segment. That analysis is a must. Otherwise, a healthy segment may die because of the sick segment. So they need to take care of this aspect as well. And from a finance point of view, one have to look into different aspects, like if one entity is having a discount policy or a credit policy, and if they have provided for like bad debts, what is the quantum of bad debts due to this tough situations. All these aspects have to be kept in mind, and they have to reconsider all their policies. And the next thing is, and the most important thing is, be responsive to the customer requirements, and one has to be vigilant to grab the opportunities. Here I would like to quote two instances which I read in some article. So even the insurance business, some of the business are just going down. At this time, I read an article wherein a company based out of Bangalore, that is Digit Insurance. So they have come up with a need-based cover plan insurance, and their sales have grown by 25%. They were giving coverage for this COVID-related cases. So that was the need of the hour, because most of the people were fearing this COVID-19. So at this time, the company has come up with such a new idea, and they have understood the vibes of the people. So they have launched that product, and within a span of a month, they were able to increase their sales. And another instance wherein the local group of people in Mysore, this is an instance which I'm quoting, which is related to Mysore. So their group of people, group of youngsters led by a lady, group of 8 to 10 people only. So within a span of 40 days, they were just doing the delivery of all the required essential products, whether it was vegetables or the farm medicines. So within a span of 40 days, they were able to do a turnover of 10 lakh. So it might sound like it is not such a huge amount, but within a span of 40 days, it is definitely a good amount. The turnover of 10 lakh, it's really a good amount. And that team is now building an app in order to facilitate further smoother operations. So these are the positive aspects that we need to look into, and definitely everybody is going to come out of this. So we need to be positive and be attentive of the opportunities that we are able to grab. So here we complete the second segment of it. So after the third segment is going to be a shorter one. Once we complete that, we'll be taking up the Q&A session. So let me quickly jump into the third segment, which is the compliance management tool. I would like to tell, this is in a very embryonic stage. This compliance management tool, it's still in the inception stage. We are creating this new product idea, wherein like everybody is aware, in GST, we are made to go through a lot of compliances, and subsequently also one has to go through procedures like assessments, audits, all this. But during the time of assessments and audits, one every taxpayer faces is compilation of the documents. Retrieving and compilation of the documents is a Herculean task for everyone. And that too, if the assessment goes on for like longer time of period, like say 2 years, 3 years, the employees who were handling the assignments might change, due to which they will be facing a lot of difficulties in managing these assessments and all. So in order to help the entities easily comply through all these things, we have thought of a product idea, that is compliance management tool. So this is, as I said, it is still in a very embryonic stage. I am going to show a mock-up part. As everybody can see, this is the web GST panel dashboard, welcome dashboard. So this is a one-stop solution, as Siddharth was giving an introduction in the beginning. So here one can manage all their GST related compliance, whether it is GSTR filing, whether it's reconciliation, e-way bill. All these compliances are kept in the form of modules which one can make use and comply with their GST related provisions. So in the same solution, we are planning to build a new module called compliance management tool, so which will enable you to retrieve the data as and when required in case of any assessments coming in, or in case of audits. You might be asked by the officer to show the copies of the documents. So in that case, this tool will be of a greater help based on the inputs and the feedbacks which we'll be receiving from the clients. We have been building this product idea. And even now, I would like to say, as I was earlier mentioning, it is still in a very inception stage. We would welcome all your inputs and suggestions in this regard. So I would just show how it works. So as soon as I click on the compliance management tool, you would be able to see a text box. So we are keeping the reference numbers as the document number, because that will be the unique numbers which every entity will be having. For each and every document, they will be having a unique document number. So that's why we are keeping the search based on the document number. Once, if any invoice number has been keyed in and submitted, one will be able to view all the related documents in the below link. For example, if there is an inconsistency in my GSTR 3B and GSTR 1 export related invoices, so in that case, proper officer will be asking me, how come like you have shown in GSTR 1 these many invoices and in 3B you have not reported that much. In that case, in order to prove my case, I need to provide all the relevant documents. So I might have to show them all the related documents. In that case, it will be difficult for the entities to compile all those information. So here we are trying to provide you a solution which caters to that requirement. So if you see, once I click any invoice information, I'll be able to view all the documents related to that particular invoice. So I click on the link and there opens another document. Like this, we have planned that an entity can upload all the invoice related information, even with respect to, like, for instance, for example, if any provisional assessment is going on, as one is aware, on passing of the provisional order, one will be paying the tax as per the provisional assessment order. And there might be a time lag between provisional order and the final order up to a time of 5 years. So till that time, one has to manage and maintain all these documents. That is a tough task. So we are facilitating through our platform that it is a database integrated. It is a DMS integrated, wherein you will have the storage of all your relevant documents. From there, just by click, you will be able to fetch all the relevant documents. All the invoice related documents will be made available to the taxpayer at just one click. So which will definitely help them to comply with their assessment, scrutiny, whatever audit cases are there. It will be really helpful for the entities we have thought. That's why we are heading with this product idea. So any suggestions in this regard, we will welcome it. So you can write to us if any suggestions and improvisations or any modifications which would definitely benefit the customers. So all those suggestions are definitely welcome. So this is just the quick mock-up of the compliance management tool, which is our new product idea. I hope everybody liked it. So here we end this third segment, and now the last segment is the Q&A session, wherein we will be taking up all your questions.
Yeah,
I hope
1 minute. So before we get into the Q&A session, I would like to pull up one more poll so that you can look into it and answer, and we can get an understanding. All right, I'm just launching it. So do you feel that the market is looking forward for a solution like the compliance management? All right, thank you for your inputs. I'm ending the poll. Okay, so I'm sharing the poll result. So it looks like most of them feel that it is something that should come up in the market, and we'll have to wait and see how this is taken up, because this is still in its early stages. So we'll have to wait and see how it goes by. So Deepa, do you have anything else to talk on this, or do we get into the final stage?
No, I think it is very clearly indicative, saying that nobody is saying no, everybody is looking forward, but maybe everybody is looking for like more features, enhanced featured product.
Correct.
So that's why people have reserved their opinion. So it's good. It's good.
Okay, great. So I'm closing the screen, and we can get into the Q&A. Team, if there's any further questions, please put it up on the chat. We've already received a few questions. We're dedicating a good amount of time for just the questions, so this would be a good time to ask.
So we are having few questions. Uday Kumar has dropped in a question saying that please discuss B2B and B2C briefly. But here is my doubt is, this doubt is with regard to what I just wanted to know, whether it's related to e-invoicing. This question has been put across, or I need a bit clarity on this question.
Yeah, Mr. Uday, if you can just elaborate on what exactly it is that you're looking in the point of B2B and B2C, it'll be great. You can put it on the chat box so that we can answer it. Okay, Deepa, I think we can give him some time. You can take up the other questions, maybe the one from Shivangi, and then Dr. Syed also.
Yeah, question from Shivangi was with respect to ITC 02A, so which has been recently enabled. So this is basically ITC form 02A is for transferring the electronic credit ledger balance to the registration in the same state. If any entity is obtaining registration, for example, if I am having a registration in Karnataka, if I am taking up another registration, generally the multiple registrations are allowed if it is operating in a different business verticals. In that case, if any entity is getting one more registration, in that case an entity is allowed to transfer the ITC from one of its registration to another registration in the same state. So that is ITC 02A is all about.
Ms. Shivangi, I hope that clears your doubt. If there's anything else, you can put it on the chat box. So the next question is from Dr. Syed. I think we'll need a little more clarity on this again. How long will it be going to take? And is there any time frame? So I would like to know, like, what exactly is it that you want here, sir?
If it was related to the session, yeah, it was scheduled for a time frame of 1 hour. So we are now in the Q&A session, which is the last segment of the session. Once Q&A session is done, we will be winding up the entire session.
Okay, Shivangi has another question for you, Deepa. Is there a tool wherein, okay, you can see it, right?
Yeah, I'm able to see. Is there a tool wherein we can check multiple GST numbers in one go? Shivangi, I just want to get a clarification whether you are asking about validating GST numbers. Can you just confirm? Yes. Okay. So in our tool itself, we have a option like GST and validation, wherein you need to, in an empty file, GST, all GST numbers which you want to validate, you can copy paste all those GST numbers in one file and just upload that file. In fraction of seconds, you will be able to get whether it is a valid GSTN, what is the trade name, legal name, what type of registration it is, whether it is a regular registration, ISD registration, TDS or TCS registration. All those information will be made available to in fraction of seconds. You will be able to download that file, and that file will contain the entire report of this GST numbers. I hope that clarifies your doubt. at one go, you will be able to upload even more than 1,000 GSTN numbers and you will be able to validate.
All right. Any other questions, team? We will be happy to take it up now.
While the questions come in, again, I would like to emphasize on this compliance management tool, any opinion, suggestions in this regard is most welcome. You can drop in a mail if you have any elaborate like suggestions, you want to write it down, you can mail to us. So we will be definitely taking the inputs positively.
Okay, Deepa, there is a few other queries from Shivangi.
Yeah, I'm just looking into it. If during filing, we do the filing on other GST number with the same name and the vendor has accepted the payment too, how can we solve the issue? Shivangi, I would like to understand, you mean to say entity with same PAN number but different GST? Is the question you are pointing to? Okay, I think internally the entity wouldn't be having any problem because the transaction is a genuine one. In that case, what you can do is you can go for the amendment, because as you have uploaded a B2B invoice, which in which the recipient's GSTN has been mentioned of the different state, though pertaining to the same counterparty, it has been uploaded in some other state registration. So in that case, one can go for B2BA amendment. So in a subsequent month, you can upload the same invoice with the corrected GSTN. So that is possible. This is how you can solve the issue.
Okay, so I would also like to tell that we will be reaching out to all of you shortly, mostly the start of next week. And if you'd like, a personalized demo of this tool that we have, we would love to do that also. So we will be reaching out anyway, and Dr. Syed, we will reach out to you, not to worry. We will reach out to you and we'll be sending a recording of this entire webinar as well. All right, so we can extend for the next 5 minutes and then we will wrap up for today. So any other questions, Deepa will be happy to answer. Okay, so on this note, I would like to launch one last poll to see how the response would be. So I'm launching the poll. So I hope all of you really enjoyed the webinar and found it informative. So this is a poll to just understand so that we can improvise further. So all of you can expect a mail in your mailbox with the recorded webinars link sometime next week start. And we will also be reaching out to you through call so that, to understand if you'd be interested in having a look at what we have on offer. So we are looking forward to that. And I will end the poll right now.
Siddharth, we are receiving a suggestion from Mr. Said.
Okay, okay.
Can look into it.
Okay. All right, Dr. Syed, we will reach out to you on this. We've noted it down. We will reach out to you on this. Okay. So, Deepa, is there anything else or do we close it?
Nothing from my side, Siddharth. I think.
Okay.
That's it. Yeah, thank you everyone for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you.
So thank you all. Thank you all. So we are looking forward to seeing you all in our further sessions as well. Thank you all for being a wonderful audience. So have a good evening. Bye-bye.